Monday, March 11. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom. The National Housing Trust, NHT, is to spend $39.4 billion on housing activities for the 2019-2020 fiscal year. This was disclosed by Minister of Finance and Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark, as he opened the 2019-2020 budget debate in the House of Representatives last Thursday. During the new fiscal year, the NHT plans to undertake 8,640 housing starts and complete 4,714. A September deadline has been given for closure of the state-run entity National Energy Solutions Limited. Late last year, Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced the imminent closure of the entity, which has been at the center of controversy regarding its operations. Energy Minister Favour Williams gave the timeline as she answered questions during Tuesday's meeting of Parliament's Standing Finance Committee. She said NESO's services will be absorbed into the Energy Ministry. Activities in agriculture have been given a boost, including those aimed at improving provision of water and rural communities during the new fiscal year. $1.1 billion Jamaican dollars has been allocated to support development, expansion, and rehabilitation of irrigation infrastructure. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark made the announcement as he opened the 2019-2020 budget debates in the House of Representatives on Thursday. He said the aim is to make more irrigable lands available for agricultural purposes and reduce farmers' reliance on rainwater.
$752 million to continue the rehabilitation and development of rural farm roads. $1.1 billion, Mr. Speaker, to continue the expansion and rehabilitation of irrigation infrastructure in order to make lands more productive and available for agricultural purposes and to reduce the requirements and rainfall. This, Mr. Speaker, will positively impact the Essex Valley and Pedro Plains. $326 million has been allocated to continue the development of the Spring Gardens Agri Park through the improvement of on-farm roads, rehabilitation of the packing house, installing pumping equipment, and installing river training structures.
Meanwhile, Dr. Clark says $795 million will be allocated to facilitate works by Rural Water Supply Limited to upgrade systems in several parishes. This will involve the rehabilitation of catchment tanks and installation of guttering, storage, and solar pumps in schools and public institutions. The Bank of Jamaica, BOJ, says that there is some risk that headline inflation would fall below its target at various times during 2019 and 2020. The information came out in its annual report last week based on an assessment carried out in December. The central bank has a medium-term target of 4 to 6% for inflation, but the rate continues to underperform the low end of the range. In the new report, the BOJ indicates that its assessment for 2019 and 2020 was informed by trends in international commodity pricing, particularly for oil, as well as seasonal improvements in domestic agricultural food production. According to the Jamaica Gleaner, one of the tools being wielded by the central bank is interest rates. BOJ last downward adjustment to its policy rate happened in February, which was cut from 1.75% to 1.5%. In 2018, the policy rate was adjusted 5 times, resulting in 150 basis points of cuts. On Friday, the United States Department of State issued a Tier 2 travel advisory that warned that violent crimes such as home invasions, armed robberies, and homicides are common within Jamaica. For the U.S., a Tier 2 warning means travelers should exercise increased caution. Similar warnings have been issued for Trinidad and Tobago, the Bahamas, and Turks and Caicos Islands. In reaction, Jamaican government officials say they are not surprised by the latest advisory. Speaking to the Gleaner on Sunday, National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang said, quote, "It's no secret with the violence in the country, and Spanish Town has one of the largest gangs on the island," end quote. Also, Delana Seabright, Senior Advisor to Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett, says the U.S. government's advisory is nothing new and the latest bulletin is unlikely to impact the country's tourism industry. He said, quote, "Jamaica is regarded internationally as a safe place for tourists, period. As a destination, we enjoy a very high repeat visitor rate of 42% with an extremely low rate of crime against our visitors." The Consumer Affairs Commission, CAC, will be observing World Consumer Rights Day 2019 on Friday, March 15, with several activities across the island. The theme for this year's celebration is "Become a Responsible Consumer, Empower Yourself." Speaking at a Jamaica Information Service recent think tank session, Executive Officer of the Commission, Dulcie Allen, noted that the theme reflects the organization's aim to expand consumers' knowledge of their responsibilities. The activities commemorating World Consumer Rights Day 2019 will begin with a church service on Sunday, March 10 at Olson Memorial Church in Kingston. There will be an exhibition on Monday, March 11 at the Portland Parish Library in Port Antonio. From the colonial era of plantations until now, rum has been an indelible part of Jamaica's history. Last weekend, patrons were treated to a Rum Festival at the beautiful Botanical Gardens in Kingston. Carol Francis was there and filed this report.
The beautifully landscaped Hope Botanical Gardens in Kingston was the venue for Jamaica's National Rum Festival held on the weekend.
So it was time for Jamaica to have a rum festival. It was a brilliant initiative, and I'm so happy that JTB and TF came on board, as well as the other rum sponsors, to taste their different rums, their variety of rums, and we get to appreciate what makes Jamaica rum great.
On entering the venue, patrons made their way down a sugarcane-lined tunnel with visual storytelling monitors showcasing various aspects of the growth and harvesting of sugarcane. From the misted tunnel, they made their way to one of the main attractions, the Heritage House display entitled Journey Through Rum. At the entrance, patrons paused for sugarcane to be peeled before they were cut into bite-sized pieces and packaged so patrons could sample the sweet sugarcane chunks. The Heritage House exhibit showcased the history of rum in Jamaica, the various stages of rum production, the transformation of rum from unaged to rum that had been aged for 30 years, as well as rum treasures. Intermittent rain did not dampen the spirits of those in attendance at the festival. The young and the young at heart took advantage of the diverse rum offerings made in Jamaica. To enhance visitor enjoyment, there were lots of staff on hand to assist patrons who came from far and wide to participate.
There's seminars, there's there's stage show, there's so much, there are all the different rums that we have in Jamaica.
Some booth spaces were used for educational and entertaining seminars hosted by industry aficionados, including master blenders and brand managers. Also on offer were various rum-infused drinks, including a blend of rum and natural fruit extracts.
We provide a good product which has 18 months shelf life, which you can keep, requires no refrigeration before or after opening. It's a hit with tourists and locals. Lots of people going back to the States carry it. It's in alcohol-resistant PET bottles, so it's lightweight and very resilient. If it drops, you don't have to worry, it's not going to break.
Patrons attending the Rum Festival had a myriad of activities and products to choose from. There was flash frozen ice cream, made while you wait. Flash freezing, which uses liquid nitrogen, gives you ice cream in less than 30 seconds. No ice means indulging in sinfully rich, creamy flavors.
Better than most ice cream.
Thank you very much.
Some exhibitors showcased rum-infused sweet treats, one-of-a-kind vintage jewelry to add the perfect touch of elegance. There were also hand-poured enhanced candles with high-quality fragrances with a Jamaican flair. Patrons also flocked non-traditional booths like fruit blossoms.
I'm from Fruit Blossoms, where we do edible arrangements, chocolate-covered strawberries, anything that I do with fruits. So we do popsicles. We have our alcohol and our non-alcoholic popsicles as well. And today we have chocolate-covered strawberries, grapes, marshmallows, and we have our fruit shots.
At Fruit Blossoms, patrons sampled chocolate-covered fruit popsicles, chocolate-covered strawberries, grapes, and exotic concoctions like chocolate-covered breadfruit. Still others were fascinated with the artfully sculptured handmade fruit bouquets made with the freshest in-season Jamaican fruits.
It's a fairly new concept in Jamaica, and people are very receptive. It's a very good gift for any occasion, for any age group, for any reason at all.
Some found pleasure and camaraderie testing their gaming skills. The stacking game Jenga, using giant-sized hardwood pieces, was a hit. It ended on a high note, with many vowing to return to the festival next year. Carol Francis for PBCJ News.
The Jamaica Fire Brigade is reporting an increase in the number of female recruits. Acting Assistant Commissioner Julian Davis Buckle says 22 women comprise the latest cohort of 130 recruits now in training to become firefighters. Additionally, she said women are stationed in every department and occupy key positions, including instructors, incident commanders, sub-officers, and turnout officers. Buckle says increased recruitment of females as firefighters in Jamaica is consistent with the growing trend across the Caribbean and the globe. She was speaking at an International Women's Day symposium organized by the Bureau of Gender Affairs and the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport at the Jamaica Conference Center in downtown Kingston on Friday. In regional news, the police have held a 26-year-old man after he robbed 2 Jamaicans in the town of Arima in Trinidad. The police report that Friday, the Jamaicans, a man and a woman, were standing at a bus terminal in Arima when they were approached by 2 armed men. The Jamaicans were robbed of their immigration documents, cell phones, cash, and jewelry. For the first time in Trinidad and Tobago's history, a police officer has been charged under the Anti-Gang Act. CNC3's Mark Bassant has that story.
2 police officers, one charged under the Anti-Gang Act, were granted bail of close to $300,000 in total to cover all offences when they appeared before Magistrate Joanne Connor at the Arima Magistrates Court shortly before 3 o'clock this afternoon. The officers were whisked into the court when they arrived. 40-year-old police constable Angelo Sedeno of Jitman Drive, Aruka, was charged with misbehavior in public office, which allegedly occurred sometime between December 31st, 2017 and July 1st, 2018 for trafficking cocaine and ammunition. He was also charged under the Anti-Gang Act with counseling a gang and gang-related activities between May 31st, 2018 and July 1st, 2018. He was granted $200,000 bail to cover both charges. The other police constable, Don Balgobin from Valencia, was not charged under the Anti-Gang Act, but charged for allegedly receiving a sum of money to forego prosecution in a marijuana trafficking case against individuals. He was granted $88,000 bail. Both their matters were adjourned to April 2nd.
In Cuba, the island nation celebrated International Women's Day last Friday with a special assembly of the Cuban Women's Federation, as well as honoring historic women who fought in the Cuban Revolution. Richard Richards has the details.
The first Secretary of the Communist Party of Cuba, Raúl Castro Ruz, and the President of the Councils of State and Ministers, Miguel Díaz-Canel Bermúdez, attended this 8th of March, International Women's Day, the closing session of the 10th Congress of the Cuban Women's Federation. In the final sitting, the Cuban Women's Federation issued a solidarity declaration to all women of the world, especially to those who are still struggling for their rights. Teresa Amarele Boe was ratified as the General Secretary of the organization. Also, on this 8th of March, in the Second Oriental Front of the province of Santiago de Cuba, a special homage was paid to Vilma Espinguilloa, who fought in the Sierra Maestra alongside Fidel and his brother Raúl, and who for more than 50 years had been the president of the Cuban Women's Federation, until her death in 2007. From that sad moment until this time, 60% of Cuba's professionals and technicians are women, so 70% of the labor force of the Ministry of Health. Out of 58,130 specialized doctors, 56% are females. In Parliament, women constitutes more than 48% of the deputies, and out of the 15 provinces, 9 are governed by females. These figures are easy to mention, but when you look and see the triple role of a woman, this is to say, wife, political leader and mother, all sums up to a crucial situation. It is therefore indispensable for social cultural changes to be made, conceiving equality of responsibilities in the everyday task of home life. This means creation of general conditions within the society to prepare men in authentic principles of equality in the frame of the family. These principles are present now in Cuba, bringing out women out of the house and into economy, reorganizing peasant households that has kept women in subservient positions, developing communal services to alleviate domestic work and child care, providing equal opportunities for women, mobilizing them into political work and government administration, and providing adequate working conditions to satisfy the particular needs of females' body and the moral and spiritual needs for women as mothers. Our late Comandante Fidel Castro said in 1974, "Today the revolution has in the Cuban woman a true army, an impressive political force. That's why we simply say that the revolution is invincible." Direct from Cuba, Richards, Canal Caribe.
In sports, England defeated the West Indies by 8 wickets in the third and final match on the weekend to sweep the T20 International Series 3-0 with 57 balls to spare. Here are the highlights.
Steady the ship. Display proper cricket shots. Needed an innings. He's been short of runs in T20 cricket, but real class. And he got together with Billings. Wonderful partnership for England. Only the 5th instance in T20 international cricket of a 50-run partnership for both the 5th and 6th wicket in a team innings. Now England really did start to moulder. They were 32 for 4 in the power play, don't forget that. But England just keep going. We'll see from any package that Sam Billings will favour the leg side. .55 for Joe Root. Brilliant throw from out in the deep, and no need for a third umpire. But this is Billings' leg side. Anywhere you ball it, he'll find that leg side. Meyer with a misfield, a flat 6. .50, and there's a lot more from Sam Billings. Clever play. Some big overs right at the end. Short to 55, 56 metre boundary straight, and we take advantage. This is a steepler. Meyer gets under it, gets everybody out of the way and shells it. 22 came from the last over. Ball by the rookie. McCoy into the attack, just a young lad. Can't think that that's right, that he's bowling the last over. And that's the last delivery. England, it's 182 for 6 from 32 for 4. Impressive.
And that's the news on PBCJ. Pleasant viewing.